Round 2 promises to be a massive one in what will be an amazing sequel to what kicked off the season. And I thought to myself, I need a big gun in the chair alongside me. And boy, oh boy, have I delivered. The great man himself. Now, those that come here from Talking Hawks will recognise the great man Mitch himself from the dominating performance that he put on last night on the Talking Hawks live stream, where he genuinely made me feel like I might not have a job at TH anymore. He did that well. But, mate, we go back quite a long way. 11 years, mate. I was having a look through
11, wow.
School report or something, and it's couldn't get rid of us if we were a bad smell, mate. How are you? And welcome, I think, for the first time to Daz Talks Footy.
Very well. I'm very well, mate. Thanks for having me. It's good. We've done a little bit of work behind the scenes on Daz Talks Footy, but not on the show. So good to be here, and always appreciate the pump up, mate. 11 years. You're making me feel old, mate. 11 years. That's woof, long time ago.
I hit the quarter of a century a week and a half ago, mate. Still hasn't set in yet, so don't stress about that. Now, we know you're a graphics whiz. You're the thumbnail man, and let me tell you, if you've ever watched my videos and thought, no, it's not the greatest thumbnail, it's because I did it. And if you're thinking that's
it's probably
sharp,
not mine.
it's because the great man did it. Yeah, exactly
Yeah.
right. What you can definitely tell what's me and what's not me. But how do you go with tipping, mate? Are you a tipping whiz? Because I'm great if I tip and leave it alone, but I'm the kind of guy that once footy hits, there's a bottle of something in my hand that makes me go, I'm going to be clever, and I turn out to be a dill. How do you go with tipping?
Yeah, I'm very good. I haven't lost many tipping comps that I've been in, mate. So
no pressure.
I'm good. No, I'm good. And to stop changing tips, I have a rule. I pick at the start of the round, and regardless of whether you're allowed to change them during the round, I do not touch them. So first thought, best thought. It's like backing a horse, mate. If you back a horse, don't change, because the one that you change, it'll win, and the thing that you back will run last. So don't change it all. I'm a sneaky little tipster, mate. I actually go all right.
Oh, I like it. So no pressure there. So we're going to go through all 9 games, mate. We're going to give...
I'll probably get 2 now. I said that.
Yeah, exactly right. Which is what I ended up with last week after I changed about 3 games. It was just extraordinary. Why did I change to the Bulldogs? Anyway, not the point. And then by the end, mate, we're going to have a lock. We're going to have a big call. If we think someone's going to go bunter, and of course, hopefully the people will love it. But we kick things off on a Thursday, of course, at the time of recording tonight. Carlton Geelong. Now, I'm going to come out with the first call, and you know me, mate, the more I can annoy one fan base, the better it is for me. I'm tipping Carlton with confidence.
Yeah, well, you've just you've stolen what I thought my big call might be.
Oh, there you go.
You were going to back the Cats. And
this is why we should prepare before these things.
No, that's fine. No, I agree. It's not that I don't rate Geelong. Obviously, last year's premiers, we know the talent that they've got. But let's be honest, they kicked really accurate last week, but for the most part, Collingwood made them look pretty average. I do rate Collingwood. I think they're a pretty good side. And, mate, the Blues list is full of talent. They got younger legs. I'm all with you. I actually think they'll win. And like you said, I don't think it'll be, I don't think it'll be a nail biter. I reckon it's going to be pretty comfortable.
Oh, okay. Well, my confidence wasn't in the margin. My theory behind it is, well, twofold. The first one being Carlton can't keep doing this. Now, Carlton fans are probably watching this going, mate, 20 years. Trust me, they can. And that's a fair and that's a fair point. But I believe in Michael Voss enough that the penny's going to drop. And I think when it drops, it's going to drop in a big way. So I can see this one being pretty tight at 3/4 time, kind of a repeat of the Collingwood game. And then the Blues run all over them. But I'm with you. Even if Geelong do lose this game, are you worried about them? I'm not. If this was in round 14 and they lost in the way that we're kind of talking about it, I would be concerned. I'm not concerned at round 2 if they go 0-2, and I definitely won't be if they're 1-1. What about you?
Yeah, no, exactly right, mate. Like, I mean, you saw last week against Collingwood, I think they lost by 25 points or something. They still kicked 100 points. That's, not going to be considered their A game, sort of their B game. Yes, they were accurate going forward, but they kick 100 points, they're going to beat most sides. You've got obviously a couple of sides to worry about, but most of the time their B game is probably going to get the job done against most of the competition. But I think Carlton, like you said, the penny's got to drop sooner or later. Their talent is amazing. They've obviously got Vossi in the head chair. Mate, they've got to work it out sooner or later. They're too good of a side to be, we know they missed finals just last year, but I think they're a top 4 side this year. Time to prove it. Mate, take a big scalp against Geelong and get some confidence up.
Beautiful. I like it. And I reckon Charlie's going to kick 5, but we'll figure out how badly that ages very, very shortly. Brizzy Melbourne Friday night, mate, at the Gabba. Brisbane bounced back. I genuinely believe that when good teams get embarrassed, they bounce back. Now, we know Brisbane have been embarrassed. I think it's now 5 times since round 10 last year. They've lost 10 goals plus or 50 points plus, something like that. I reckon if they were playing anyone else this week, I'd take them in a canter. I don't think I could take them against the Ds. They are flying, and with their quartet coming back, geez, the Ds, mate, they are prime and proper for a hell of a 2023. They're my flag pick, and I am going to pick the Ds in this game. What about you?
Yeah, I agree, mate. I think that when you line up everyone's best footy, so Geelong, obviously top contenders, I think Collingwood are as good as most sides in the comp. I still think if you line up the best footy, each team, when they're playing perfectly or playing as close to perfect as they can, Melbourne are the best side. I think we'll see that this year. We obviously know they won the flag in 2021 now. They're not far away from their best footy, mate. They had even last year, they still played well, and they were always in it, and then it got to finals, and it was like, oh, okay, it wasn't really great, but they were still always there. Like I said, I'll be tipping them again. Brisbane, again, talented side, but just haven't got the results. We know that they're good at getting the prelims, but they haven't really been able to get any further. I don't necessarily see that changing this year, and I think Melbourne will beat them on Friday night.
I think Brisbane's ability to get exposed without the footy, not just defensively, but those half forwards and their midfielders don't want to tackle at all. And we both barrack for a footy club that is seeing that happen all too well, and we'll talk about that when we get to Sunday's games. But that is my concern. I can very easily see Brisbane winning the game. It's not going to shock me, but it's not going to be 60-50 like the St Kilda Freo game last week. So I think we're either in for a belter and Brisbane get across the line, or Melbourne do it comfortably. I'm sticking with the Ds. I hope we actually disagree at some point throughout. Let's go to Collingwood Port. Just quickly, mate, what did you think of Port against Brisbane? Did it shock you, surprise you? Were they a sneaky team of yours? We didn't really talk about your preseason stuff on the channel, which is, of course, my fault. So where do you think they come up against the Pies?
Yeah, they were a little bit of a sneaky. I wasn't surprised they won. I was surprised the manner in which they did it. Brisbane were 2 or 3 goals up at half time. Didn't catch much of the game, but saw most of the last half. And all of a sudden, I checked the scores, and all of a sudden, I was like, oh my God, they just went nuts, and really impressive. They are probably another side that have got a decent list and probably haven't quite delivered on their potential. So it didn't surprise me, but 10-goal win against Brisbane, Brisbane are in contention to be a top 4 side this year. I think they'll surprise a few, but as I've already said, I really rate Collingwood, mate. I rated them all year last year. Everyone sort of loves to hate Collingwood. I'm a little bit different. I'm sort of more to Geelong, Essendon, hence I'm a Hawks boy. But I really rate the Pies. I think their good footy is really, really good to watch. They can get exposed a little bit on when they turn it over, and obviously we know they like to use the corridor, but their skills are great and they're fun to watch play footy. I would be thinking Collingwood will win this one, but Port's certainly not out of it. They don't play the G very well. That might be a little bit of a question mark, but yeah, hard to go against the Pies. But Port, you never know. Could be a year where they surprise a few.
Yeah, I like it. And I noticed during the Port Brisbane game when I watched it back, I was at Meat Stock at the time, and a guy, I can't remember his name actually, I think it was Andrew, was talking with one of his mates and said the Port Adelaide score, and I just didn't believe him until I went to my front end and went, Jesus, okay. But Jason Horne-Francis standing next to Lachie Neale and then going about his business the own way, if he does that next to Jordan De Goey, that we need just a camera on them too. If that happens, the Hornet, it would be extraordinary. I'm tipping Collingwood in this game as well, mate. Collingwood are likeable, and I hate it, but I think they become all the more likeable, and I hope this doesn't offend Collingwood people too much. I think no Eddie and no Bucks have a big impact on that. I think it genuinely, when you talk about clubs having a fresh start, that is genuinely a fresh start. Ned Kelly, Jeff Brown, and Craig McRae, they don't have any bad or poor credits in the AFL world at all. So we talk about, is footy better when, Carlton's good or Essendon's good, yada, yada, yada. Well, right now, footy's flying, and Collingwood are the most fun team to watch in the league. My goodness.
Yeah. Mate, I'm glad you said that. I'm glad you said that, because I actually had this conversation with my dad after the Collingwood Geelong game last week. And I said, mate, people love to hate Collingwood. We all know how majority of non-Collingwood fans feel about Collingwood. I'm probably not as harsh on them, and I do like watching them play footy at the moment. But the first thing I said to Dad was, mate, when Collingwood are playing good footy, it's good for the game. Same thing with like Richmond, Carlton, Hawthorn, the big Melbourne clubs. When they're playing well and exciting footy, it's good for the game, and Collingwood are that at the moment.
But don't worry, the minute they win a flag, they're going to be horrid again. So
I'd rather see them win a flag than what happened last year, mate. All
and
good.
Goodbye all the
good.
Geelong people.
Mate, I'll be, mate, you rarely ever, if ever, see me in a opposition's colours. If they're playing Geelong on the last Saturday in September, first Saturday in October, whatever it is, mate, I will be painted in black and white, and I will be rooting for every single player on that ground. So much so, Daz, that I've already backed a goey as a smoky for the brown one. So that shows you what I think of Collingwood this year.
Should get the 3 votes as well in round 1. Let's go to Adelaide Oval. Now, sneaky good game this, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Every day, every time I look at this game, I'm convincing myself more and more Adelaide are going to win. So I don't mean to sit on the fence here, but I'm actually going to let you go first. And depending on what you say is kind of going to determine which direction I go in. So it's the cheap way out. It's also why I have guests. So welcome to the party. Who wins this game?
It's your show, mate. You make the rules. No, I'm going to say Richmond, but I do agree. I think it will be close. I think could be game of the round. I think Richmond in a nail biter. The Tigers are a little bit similar to sort of your Melbournes and Collingwoods, that their good footy's really good. We know obviously what they did, a few years ago with their own little version of their dynasty. I still think their list is relatively healthy, and I do rate them as well. They're probably in that sort of bracket of could be top 4, but probably going to be somewhere definitely in the 8. I'm going to say that they're just going to eke out a win against the game Adelaide.
If we didn't already have a draw, I'd almost predict it. But you're not kicking start a season with 2 draws. Whatever happens, I think this game's single digits. I'm going to go with you. I'm going to say the Tigers. I just get the feeling. The Crows are absolute locks now.
I get the feeling that this could be a Daz change-up where you put your tips in tonight, and then you get to Saturday whenever the game is, you go, you know what, I'm going to back Adelaide, and then the Tigers will win with a goal after the siren or something like that.
Yeah, 100%. My man Harry Schomburg just comes in and breaks my heart in the tips, but I do love him.
If you don't change, Adelaide will win.
Yeah, why not, mate? They're locks now. Let me tell you, my goodness. A game that I can't say I'm too excited for, mate, if I'm being perfectly honest. But the Saints did it in typical Ross Lyon style, and unfortunately, the Bulldogs almost did it in a typical Luke Beveridge style early in the season. They've experimented again with the tools. That's not going to happen with Rory Lobb having ankle surgery, and it looks like Sam Darcy's going to play down back, leaving Jamara and Aaron Norton up forward. But this is kind of whoever wins is fine with me kind of game. I know that's not the sexiest way to approach it, but I tip the Bulldogs because I like them more at Marvel, but that's kind of all the investment I've got in this one, I think.
Yeah, if you watched St Kilda's game last week, they got the win, but it certainly wasn't a pretty game, was it? Yeah, both play Marvel pretty well, obviously being, both their home ground. I think it's a Doggies home game, but the Doggies should win. The Doggies list is better. I don't know what it is about the Doggies, but they just cannot seem to beat Melbourne. I think if they play like they did last week against most of your sort of bottom sides, they shouldn't have any issues. I don't think they played horribly, but Melbourne they just seem to can't beat Melbourne especially since that grand final. It's just like, get in front, and it was almost a carbon copy of the grand final last week, mate. Aside from all of a sudden it was 8 goals and it's over. It was probably happened a little bit earlier, but I just think you've always got a side that's got the wood over you a bit. I think when we were back in our premiership years, Richmond were probably our one against the Hawks. I think they
were no good.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, at least Melbourne are good now.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll back the Doggies, but like you said, mate, I don't think put it this way, I probably won't be watching the game.
Yeah, I'm not sure I'll be tuning. I think this might be the KO mini match of the round.
Yeah.
Although the other option to me, I think is one of the more underrated games of the weekend. So Freo North, Saturday Optus. My reasoning for this, for it is this, mate. Freo need to win. Any side coached by Clarko can win. That
Correct.
to me is just a tantalising prospect, and Luke Davies-Uniacke v. Andrew Brayshaw is worth the ticket alone for me.
Yep, absolutely. I agree. If this was in Melbourne, I'd probably be tipping North.
I'm with you.
It's you know what? I'm going to tip North anyway. Stuff like that can be a big call. Let's say Clarko. Well, if you watched Freo last week, they were horrible to watch. Now I know we had a bad watch on Sunday Arvo as Hawks boys.
Did we?
We did.
Yeah,
I reckon watching the Freo game was worse. That was atrocious. And North are up and about. You know, they've had one win. They beat West Coast and hung on by the skin of their teeth. But I'll go for a big call here, and I'll probably get roasted for it. But I'm going to go North to fly over to Perth and beat the Dockers, whose footy last week was just not fun to watch.
Could look like a genuine genius, our man. I worry about both of these teams' ability to score. So you think Nick Larkey, he kicked 6, and mate, no one's going to take away from that. But now the last 3 games against West Coast, he's kicked 15 goals, and he did. And I know this sounds harsh because of the delivery, but he still doesn't have a lot of help. Charlie Common's only played 3 games. He did only kick 38 goals last year, so you take the West Coast game out of last year as well, where he kicked 6. That's 32 in 20 games. I worry about how they're going to score. And then you look at the other mob and you think, geez, this could be 40-30 if things don't go their way or if conditions are poor. My goodness. But yeah, I think Freo win, and I think their Smalls have got to get involved in a big, big way. I don't think we're going to spend too much time on this one, mate. Here's the question, right? Because let's be honest, we're both tipping Sydney, right? Yeah, the defeated nod.
I was gonna say no. I'm tipping Hawks, but I can't say it with a straight face.
Can't do it with a straight face. That's fair. So let's play the game before the analysis. Over under the 59.5 that we lost by last week, or 58.5 that we lost by last week.
Over.
Yeah, I disagree.
Over. I hope we win. No, I don't think we will, but I stayed away. Well, I'm talking Hawks last night, mate. You noticed that we didn't ask for predictions because I didn't want anyone's predictions because I know we'll probably get beat. But no, Bud obviously is, usually you'd think, okay, well, no, Bud might help. But I mean, they found ways to hit the score, but especially last year, obviously they made a grand final last year. Yes, they got touched up, but they were still a phenomenal side. They found ways, much the way the Hawks did to when Buddy was with us, to hit the scoreboard without really worrying about Bud. Obviously, we know he's probably on his way out. This could potentially be his last year, but he's not playing. But you've got such depth now in that list, and they should not have any problems getting past us. I just want to see us put up a little bit more of an effort, mate.
Yeah, effort's key, but I know the Swans midfield's going to take over, and I think Finn's going to go to Chad Warner and all those good things, but it can't be that bad. It can't be. But we had no pressure. Our pressure rating was like my golf score. It was just horrific for wildly the same reason. But,
your golf score keeps going up and up and up, but the pressure rating didn't, so maybe it wasn't.
That's a good point, but around the 148 mark, that sounds about right for me and the Hawks pressure.
That's
so
cool.
The Swans for us, and Tom Papley could kick 8, seriously. Let's go to, I think, the Channel 7 games this one, mate. Essendon Gold Coast at Marvel. Stewie Jew's under the pump, and Brad Scott's already getting a statue out at Tullamarine, it feels like. How do you see this one going?
Yeah, Essendon were good last week. It's hard to know whether Essendon were really good and are going to surprise a few, or that we were just that bad. I think it's often the case is it's probably somewhere in the middle. Gold Coast, I have no idea what to expect from them this year. I really don't know. I didn't see who they played. I don't even know who they played last week.
Sydney got smacked.
Oh, I got smacked. That's right. They played just after us. Didn't see really any of that game. Sydney are going to beat most of the bottom 8 sides and probably pretty comfortably. They made a grand final last year. They are a really good side. If Essendon play half or 3/4 as good as last week, and let's be honest, they did look very, very damaging. Don't know how with their best forward out and Stringer was out, and they still looked like they could kick 20 more goals if they wanted to. If they play anywhere near that, you'd got to tip them Marvel home ground, and I just don't know where Gold Coast are at, mate. Like you get with Gold Coast, you get a glimpse of okay, they're finally starting to progress and they're finally starting to play some good footy. And then all of a sudden, they're just, there were talk last year, wasn't they going to play finals, and they missed by pretty comfortably, didn't they? I think they finished down about 11th or 12th. So it's hard to know what you get. I'll back Essendon, but not confidently. But Gold Coast is just one of those sides that when I tip them, they lose, and when I don't tip them, they win it.
Well, we're going to find a difference, mate. I'm tipping the Suns in this one. I think Jared Witts is the most underrated ruckman in the league, and him, Miller and Rowell were the three that could put their hand up at the end of that game and go, we gave it our all. I'm not sure too many others of the other 20 could do that. If Charlie Constable learns how to kick, they're going to be able to get the Bombers on transition. Now, the Hawks just could not do that at all throughout the last 3 quarters of the game. Yeah. Where it's going to fall apart from the Suns and where Essendon will be lining it up is if it wasn't for the Hawks, we'd be talking about the Gold Coast lack of pressure, who, although the Hawks had the worst pressure game of any side of the last 2 years, Gold Coast had 2 quarters that were worse than Hawthorn's average across, which is not good at all. So if they want to put that pressure up again, then the Bombers are going to do what they did to the Hawks last week. At Marvel, it could actually get worse, but Ben King's going to be better for the run. I do think they need another small forward. I'd be playing Bailey Humphrey if he's fit for the Suns, but they definitely need to be moving the ball and lowering their eyes. The Suns a hell of a lot better. I'm tipping Noah Anderson's going to have a day out on the wing, and I think this one's going to be a pretty good game. I'm hoping it is, as the Channel 7 game. More people will be watching it, of course, than any other on the Sunday, but the Suns, mate, I can't give up on Stewie Dew just yet. And I think if there is a team that you want to bounce back against, it's going to be against the side who essentially had a bye, which is what Essendon did when they had the footy. It's as simple as that. I know that's harsh, but
it's just hard. It's just hard to hear it's just hard to hear. I'm just not used to us being good days. Like we're both 25, mate, and I can't remember when we weren't good. It's just, I don't like it.
Well, you got to remember as well, mate, although the Hawks, talk about the pressure and the tackles, Essendon laid less. They had 36 tackles. Now, some people might say it's because they had the footy. Exactly. What happens when they don't have the footy? We still don't know. And I love the Hawks. So do you, mate. But Touk Miller and Matt Rowell are going to do a bit more damage than I think the Hawthorn midfielders did on the weekend. So the Suns for mine, and I hope Ben King goes beautifully after the ACL. And we finish with this game, mate. West Coast and GWS over at Optus. One team I made the video on if West Coast are doomed in the short, medium, and long term, which everyone should go check out over the weekend. My goodness me. And the Giants, mate, couldn't have got off to a better start under Adam Kingsley. And if the weather had been 2 degrees hotter, they all would have melted. But an unbelievable performance for a very, very good coach. No one's a bigger Adam Kingsley fan than I am.
That's true.
This is probably game of the Sunday for me, in all honesty. The one I'm interested in the most as a footy fan, not a Hawthorn fan, obviously.
Yeah, I'm thinking GWS comfortably, mate. West Coast were... Well, I mean, they got beat by North, so North are better though. Clarko's there, we know, but we all know how North have struggled this year. I didn't see much of the North game. However, from what I've read online and a lot of social media, I know social media can be quite negative, but from what I'm hearing, no,
surely not. Say it ain't so.
From what I'm hearing though, West Coast leaders were just atrocious. Like their senior players. So GWS have got off to a flyer. They're another one that I don't really know how to rate. I think their good footy is as good, is probably just good enough to play finals or, be in that sort of bottom half, but they can drop off as well. So I'm going to think, look, GWS should get it done. I'll tip the Giants.
No Whitfield, no Kelly likely, or Kelly definitely. Whitfield will be getting on the plane according to sources, but we'll need to do a match day fitness test. So it's hard to believe he's 110%, whether he plays or he doesn't, Lachie Whitfield. I'm going to tip the Eagles in this one. They need to be difficult to play at home. They just do. And I don't think I could be off them any more than if they lose this week against the side. Like you said, first-year coach without Josh Kelly in the side, who was tremendous before he got concussed, it must be said. And like I said, mate, I think early on in the season, I tend to tip teams that I think need to win more than the ones that I think will win. Now, that worked out really well for me last week. So this could be a genuine disaster, but that's all 9 games covered, mate. Have you got a lock for me? A team that You could put a fake dollar on here at Daz Talks Footy on who's going to get over the line. Doesn't have to be at the line or anything like that. This isn't gambling advice, just a head-to-head that you'd put the house on. We just won't tell you, beautiful partner.
Yeah, I hate to say it, mate, but it's got to be the Swans this week. Like we said, it just, I think, I know we talk gamble responsibly, but they're about $1.10 or something, and rightfully so. They're literally unbackable. So if you're to put $1 on them, I'll take me 10 cents, put it in my piggy bank, and we'll keep going. We'll keep going, mate. There's a couple of games, obviously, that will probably be pretty close, but if you're looking for a dead set certainty, look, I hope I'm wrong, obviously, naturally, as a Hawk supporter, but I just don't see how we can beat a side like Sydney. I'll happily be proven wrong, but there's an obvious lock this week, and it is the Swans.
I like it. I'm going to lock the Doggies against the Saints for the pure reason of if you're a good team and you get embarrassed, you bounce back. It's as simple as that. And the Saints, 18 on the injury list at the time of recording. The teams haven't been announced yet. My goodness me, that's just going to be extraordinary. So that's it, mate. All the games done. I appreciate you jumping on, mate. And of course, for the Daz Talks Footy viewers out there, like the video if you like the video. Let us know what you agree with, disagree with down below. I'm in the comment section all the time. Great, man. We're going to have you back on throughout the year, I'm sure, whether it's for the preview or the review. It won't matter, mate. It has been a genuine pleasure. You're a genuine star. Where will you be watching the footy from this weekend, mate? Because you are down with a foot injury at the moment.
Yeah, down with a foot injury. I think I got Sunday off, so I'll be watching most of the game Sunday. We're playing Saturday, are we? We're playing
Sunday, 1:10.
Sunday. I'll watch that game then. There you go. That shows how well we're going. I don't even know when we're playing, and we've just covered it.
Yeah, beautiful, mate.
I'll be at home, so I'll be watching the footy at home on the couch with my foot up. Yeah, hopefully we can just create a bit of a contest, mate. But thanks for having me on.
That's it, mate.
I will.
No, mate, it's a genuine pleasure. Hope the foot recovers, and we hope everyone watching or listening, depending on how you're doing it at the moment, enjoys their weekend. And we will see you very soon here on Daz Talks Footy. The review will be dropping Monday afternoon with a very, very special guest. Cannot wait for that. I hope your team goes well, unless you barrack for the Swans. See you later.